All right. I don't know, Allison, do you want to start or should I pull up the PowerPoint?
No, I can start and excuse my guest tonight. So this is Colin, and then so I'm Allison Black. I think I've met everybody here. I'm the executive director. So first and foremost, thank you all for being here tonight and coming to training and coming back for the spring season. We definitely appreciate all the hard work you put into the program and all the hard work you do, especially, our liaisons trying to get coaches when there are gaps. So thank you for returning. And, if you do have an open position at your school and you need help recruiting for that open coach position, talk to Matthew, Brittany. We are still looking for a few schools. So any support we can get to do that would be great. It's always best internal just because it is hard, for people to come from an outside perspective, coming into the school, not knowing the kids. So it really is, even if you have a student teacher at your building, please, give us their name if they're interested in making some extra money. So really, that's my spiel just to welcome you guys, and also just with pay. And I know Chloe or Brittany will be going over the exact pay process, but my plea to all the coaches this season is please do your daily attendance. If you happen to forget, you can log on to League Apps at home, or if you don't want to use the data on your phone, you can log in after the fact. And then we try to do weekly follow-ups when we do see that attendance is missing, or there's just a question on like, hey, there's two coaches checked in. Sorry. Go see daddy. All right. And so we do try to do follow-up, but the more we're trying to get people to get their pay in, the harder it is to get paychecks on time in the mail to people. So please, if you're having issues with League Apps, let us know, and let us know sooner rather than later, because we really do use that to track all of your attendance so that we can quickly get paychecks in. And we went to a model going from 2 paychecks a season to 3 so that you get a monthly. So, March, your paycheck will come mid-April, the April paycheck come mid-May, and your May paycheck, the goal is to get it to you before school lets out. It does take some time because our accountants do have to cut all those checks and we don't have direct deposit. So please, what helps speed the process is making sure that we're not running after people to get receipts and attendance into the system, because I think a couple people here have heard that, we can't pay without that attendance into the system. So we're here to help and really, truly want to make sure you get paid. That is never our goal to not pay people, but really need the support to get that attendance in so that the staff right here, you're seeing the 3 full-time program staff. So that's 3 people for 16 schools and 60 plus coaches. So we do need some assistance on your guys' part to just try to do that as daily as you can. With that, the staff is great. They've been working hard to get ready for spring, and we are, as you can see, Matthew in the office and all the bins behind them. They've been working really hard in making sure, we have a good spring season. So thank you again.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Allison. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so just kind of starting off, we wanted to update you guys on some of the newer people that we've hired back or are just new in general. So first, starting off with me, I know pretty much most of you have seen you guys in person at programming, but I'm Chloe. I'm the program operations manager. I work alongside Brittany and Matthew and kind of do the back end of things in terms of scheduling. I work with your pay. I help just kind of organize all the events alongside, like I said, Brittany and Matthew. We also have Eric, who is a program coordinator. He's part-time. He'll be working in some of the schools as well as reffing on game days. Ruth is also another program coordinator. She works part-time in the office and then also helps out over at Garfield. Caitlin is our Up to Us AmeriCorps member. She is stationed at AB Hart and also helps out at game days. Lexi is another Up to Us AmeriCorps member, and she will also be helping out in the office and then in some of the schools. And then actually Raven is, I don't think that she is working with us any longer, but those are just, some of our updates of, some of the people who you might be seeing at game days or around at your schools. So our program overview, just a few kind of like quick big things. The first day of programming starts Monday, February 27th, and will go until Thursday, May 18th. There's only one school, but I don't think anybody here is from AB Hart. So that's the only school that extends a little bit past, but everybody should plan to, on Monday, February 27th, get ready to start programming. And then May 18th, again, is our last day. Core games will also still be on Thursdays like they normally are. Juniors games can be on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, dependent upon the school. They usually have about 1 to 2 games throughout the season. Middle school games, which Matthew is going to talk about a little bit later, there's some more updates on that. They will be on Thursdays, but they will be after the core games. Our mid-season meeting will be April 12th. At this mid-season meeting, which is mandatory and in person, we will be having a group called Pivot. They're going to be coming in and talking about burnout and self-help and kind of different practices that you can use in your day-to-day to help alleviate some of the stresses of working with, students that might have behavioral problems or just kind of managing stress in the after-school space. And then last, Jamboree is our kind of final event that will be May 20th, which is a Saturday at Brookside Reservation, and all of our coaches are expected to attend. Oops, it's not going to the next one. Okay. Matthew, if you want to jump in.
Yeah. First off, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time. So want to give a kind of an update. This is kind of a programmatic and a organizational update. So we had the opportunity to look at our middle school program and what would be best for all the youth involved in our middle school program. So 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And we also had the opportunity to do some expansion through a partnership we have with the city of Cleveland. So what we decided to do is we are moving middle school programming out of the schools, and it will be hosted at these 4 rec centers. There may actually be a 5th rec center. We're still trying to figure that out with the city. But primarily, we're going to be moving the programming to these 4 rec centers. This program will be slightly delayed. It will still be a 10-week program, but it will follow the rec center calendar of programming. So it will start on Monday, March 13th and run through Thursday, May 18th. One kind of interesting thing with this program is because it is out of the schools, programming will still take place during the spring break week of March 20th through the 24th. The program we will have a much heavier focus on soccer, and so it will only be a 2-day a week program, and the times are going to be later into the evening, so 5 to 6:30 p.m. So for most schools, this will be after your traditional Say Yes programming. So we really encourage anyone in the middle school age range that they could still participate in Say Yes programming at the schools and then transition to soccer programming. This is going to be still a team-oriented event. So it is not just, drop in, come and play as you wish. I mean, if that's all someone can do, that's fine, but we really are aiming this as a team. So those 4 rec centers will be teams and they will play games. So their game schedule will follow along with the core game schedule, and they will have 6 game days plus a little tournament at the end. So yeah, and then what we'll do is we will have flyers with recruitment information, how the students can sign up for these programs. We will distribute those out through the schools with the liaisons, because we know that what's going to happen really is that, the kids obviously are going to be like at the 5 schools where we were hosting middle school, they're going to be asking about it. The other real advantage that Allison and I saw when we took on this project was that we're going to be able to really recruit outside of just the the schools that were hosting middle school programming. So for example, Thurgood Marshall Rec Center, we're going to be able to recruit from Wade Park, who had a middle school team, Wilson and FDR, which are SCORES schools but are not hosting middle school programs. But then we're also going to be able to recruit from schools such as Mary B. Martin, which is in the neighborhood, and vice versa with all the other rec centers. So we're really looking forward to this. This is a pilot program. We're hoping for the best, and then we'll see where the future of middle school programming goes next year. So we ask for your help when recruiting and passing out information. And I will also say that if you are a current SCORES coach, mainly a juniors coach, and do not have Thursday game days, and would like to also be a middle school soccer coach after you are done coaching, we welcome that. We are okay with having you take, a school-based team and a rec center team. So if you have any interest, please let me know. If you know of someone who you think, hey, they have like more of a traditional 9-to-5 job, but they would like to do some coaching, please pass along information. We also have coach recruitment flyers for this. So please let us know. You can always shoot me an email and I'll get that information out to you. So thank you.
Right.
So we're gonna do a few poll questions tonight. This is gonna help us check for understanding, help us make sure everyone's engaged, make sure that we're not any tech issues or anything like that. So I'm gonna launch the first question here. So once it pops up, we'll just ask that. I'm going to take a quick second. It's about the middle school program we just talked about, just kind of make sure everyone understood where it's taking place this season.
I'd be interested in doing it, but I wanted to know more about it.
All
Okay.
right. Yeah, Michelle, I'll reach out to you directly after the meeting, like tomorrow or next week, and we can talk more about what the program will look like. Okay,
and then do you guys know what's going on? I know you guys have more stuff to talk about, but what's going on in our school and what we're doing?
We still need to have a formal meeting with you and others at the school to figure that out. So yeah.
Okay, did Ms. Turner tell you she let me do an extra day and all that stuff?
No, that's new. So let's try to let's talk later. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know. Can everyone see the poll or is it not showing up? Chloe?
I don't see it.
I see it.
You see it? Okay. Because I'm not having any answers, so I'm wondering if it's not coming up.
They're showing 9 of 9 people have answered that it is happening at 4 rec centers around the city.
All right. At least you can see on your end. All right. Perfect. For some reason, it's not showing me that on my end.
Yep.
Why it won't show me the answers? I don't know. So I'm just gonna go with it. All right.
Well, I can be your reporter.
You could be my eyes, Matthew. Because
yeah.
For some reason, when you make the poll, you don't get to see the answers to the poll, which seems logical, but All right. Perfect. Go on, Chloe.
Okay.
Do you need to end that?
I did end it. Did it not end?
Okay.
Is it still on the screen?
It released the question again, Brittany, but now it's
There
gone.
you go.
Okay.
We're good to go.
Okay.
We'll try it again. We'll see if it works. If not, we might have to rethink it, but go on, Chloe. Okay.
Actually, this is your section, so go ahead.
Okay. So there's a communication update. We saw everyone's surveys, and we do look at all your surveys. We do take your surveys, the surveys that everyone filled out for us at the end of the fall season on your thoughts on the program, how things went, some ideas, improvements. And one of the big things we saw was some thoughts and ideas about communication. We know that we had some challenges over the fall with communication. So we've kind of come up with some new things that we're going to implement. We're going to kind of really focus in on some other things. So the first thing is that we are going to continue to send out our Coach Chronicle each week. So that will come out Monday or Tuesday of the week, each week of program. That will have everything you need to know about the week of program in it. We are having some issues with the CMSD emails. So the ones that your actual school emails, it looks like the firewall that CMSD has is kind of blocking our emails currently from our mass kind of email system. So our MailChimp system, League apps cannot get emails through. So when we send out the coach contract tomorrow, we are asking Cleveland's teachers if you could please give us a personal email as well. We are working to fix this issue, but it could be some time before we're able to completely fix it. In the meantime, I will forward the Chronicle to everyone through the emails, but if you can give us a personal email, that will just help make sure that the messages are getting through. If you do not have a personal email you can't provide to us, please let us know, and I'll make sure to send you any kind of information that might be pertinent through either a text message or talk to your liaison and make sure that they can get you that information until we can figure out how to get through the firewalls and talk to the tech side of CMSD. Some of the new things that we're going to implement this season are we're going to have a check-in form or a Google check-in form. This form will be available at all times to you as coaches. So this is a form that you can fill out that'll come to myself, Matthew, and Chloe that will give us an idea if you have anything you really want to talk to us about. We know that sometimes it can be hard to put it all into an email and kind of think it through. So this is easier, it kind of hits on some major points. So what you'll be able to do is pull up the form. You'll be able to let us know things like, do you need more materials? Are you out of pencils? Do you need more soccer balls? Did something happen to your air pump for the soccer balls? Do you have some snacks questions? Do you have questions about games? Do you have questions about pay? Different things. You can fill out the form, hit multiple things. If you have multiple things you want to talk to us about, it'll go to each of us. We'll then be able to reach back out to you and make sure that we either answer your questions if there's questions, bringing materials if you need them, all in one place. It'll also help us track so that we can then have like a system that we know we answered the question. That way it's not getting lost in our emails, because sometimes we have a lot of emails that come through. So sometimes it gets put to the side. This way we actually have it in one document. We can check it off. We know we've taken care of it. And we know that we've communicated directly with you about the issue or about whatever you might need. The other thing we're going to implement is optional Zoom meetings. So we're going to have 3 Zoom meetings throughout the season. They're going to kind of be every couple of weeks. These meetings are going to happen in the morning between 8 and 9 a.m. as well as 6 or 7. They're both going to be kind of the same thing. We just provided a morning time as well as an evening time, just in case you are better, before your school starts or you have more time in the evening. These are optional. And this is more for you to come on for an hour, ask any questions you might have, deal with any issues that we might have. So sitting down, you might come up something that came up that week you want to talk to us about. We'll also kind of have a theme so if let's you say you don't really have a question, but the first one, Matthew's going to kind of focus on games. So maybe you want to just come and get a little more information on games. Maybe after training, you had more questions. You'll be able to come on during the meeting and talk to one of us. You can come on for 5 minutes, ask a question and leave. That's perfectly fine. You can stay on the full hour and listen to whatever the theme might be. Or you can come on for the theme, ask your question and go, however you want to do. These are going to be optional. They are not required. They're not considered trainings, so they are not paid things. These are just in case you want a minute to jump on, talk to us about something. You can't, because we unfortunately are not going to be able to get to every school every week. There's only 3 of us. We do have some part-time people who are helping us greatly, but we unfortunately are not going to be able to always get to every school. And we do know that was a problem in fall with us subbing. We were not able to get to and talk to individually, and we weren't able to handle the problem. So this way we're going to open up that communication, and hopefully this will help provide another way you can talk to us if we can't get to your school or you can't use the Google form to talk to us. And the last thing, it's not quite listed here, but as always, we're going to use League Apps. So League Apps is going to be our communication system. We are asking you to really focus on using that system to talk to us. So it has a chat function, which we'll go over in a little bit. This chat function works just as like a text message. We ask that if you have any urgent, like non-emergency things, to use that to message us. Try not to use our personal email, our personal phone numbers, just because if one of us is off that day or one of us is tied up in programming, the other two can then step in and answer. But if it's only coming to our personal, we might not have time to forward it over. It might be you're waiting for an answer right away. No one's able to get to it. This way it goes to all three of our phones at the exact time. Whoever has the best answer can answer right away versus waiting on one of us to answer, to see it, copy paste it, send it to the other one, then they get the answer, and that could be a much more extended process. So we're going to please use League Apps when you really want to. Our phone numbers are still going to be listed in the coach manual. Those are going to be for emergencies only. Something happens at practice that's an emergency and you want to make sure we know right away, especially if something happens with the child, please then don't hesitate to call one of us or text us with that information. Any questions on communication? Any things that we didn't address that maybe you want to talk a little bit more about?
So Brittany, I just have sorry, I said I was going to hop off. I didn't. Just an example for you guys. So, Caitlin, she's at AB Heart. She's one of our staff members, but she had an issue happen at AB Heart last week, messaged through League Apps. It went to everybody on the system, all the staff, and then Chloe, Matthew, and Brittany could discuss like, okay, what's our next steps? What do we need to do? Who do we, is this an issue that somebody needs to get to the school right away? Or is this something that we just need to check in tomorrow? So League Apps is really beneficial because it does allow for multiple people to be seeing what's going on through the text message system. And then it does help us because like Brittany said, if somebody's off sick, which, most of the program staff do not take off during the season, but people get sick, things happen. And if you're messaging them and they're off, I really do want to respect people's time. And if they, let's say they're really sick and they don't message to the next person, that means your questions and something's going unanswered for you. So please, it's a great system when we utilize it. And so it is a great way to make sure your need is being met when you need it met. Okay, but now I'm officially hopping off, but let me know if you need anything.
All right. So next, we're just going to do a folder review. So even though you guys don't have your folders yet, we're still going to bring up all of these documents and kind of show you what they look like, run through some like high level stuff. And then when we drop off your equipment in the next week or two, those will be included in there. So within your folder, just so you guys know, you'll have your coach manual, your spring program calendar, your curriculum guide, your accident and injury reporting forms, your League Apps how-to and contact sheet, as well as a compliance checklist and the payment memo. All right, so I am going to go ahead and pull up the coach manual real quick, and we're just going to go over some of the kind of bigger points or updates that we have from there. Let's find it. Sorry, give me 1 second. Try and find this. Okay. All right, so the first thing we have is compliance and training. Into it. So really the big thing here is just remembering that we have some trainings and some compliance requirements that everybody has to go through before they actually start on February 27th. So all of these things that are listed here need to be completed prior to you beginning your start date. So we have a tracker. We kind of have been looking at who has what turned in. So probably within the next few days, probably by next week, we'll be messaging out to those people who maybe need an update to their training or to get another background check, that sort of thing. So the big thing here is just looking at when things need to be updated. So your coach contract is every year. Background checks, if you are not a CMSD teacher, is updated every 5 years. Your W-9, if you ever have a time in which your home address is changing or your name changes, that will need to be updated. General trainings, which is this one, it's every season, same with soccer and writing training. And then the soccer coach trainings, including sudden cardiac arrest, concussion training, and abuse trainings are every 2 years. We have some mandatory in-person training. So this one obviously is mandatory. Thank you guys for all coming. And then our mid-season meeting is also mandatory, which will be happening April 12th. And then also, like we mentioned, we have those optional check-ins. Again, they are not paid. They're just to give you guys some time to ask us questions or get any sort of information that you need.
So I just want to put out several of you who are on this call, you received an email from me today in regards to the concussion and sudden cardiac arrest training. So just look for that email if you haven't seen it already. It came from me today. So thank you.
All right, next we're going to be looking at communication. So the communication between you, the liaison, the other coaches at your school is so vital. So we've kind of come up with some different steps when you're first initially getting together with all of your coaches and your liaison, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, everybody knows who everyone is, and especially if there are new people or people outside of the school that are going to be joining those teams. So first, we are going to be asking that the liaisons set up a maybe 15-20 minute meeting, either a phone call if everybody's at the school, maybe you can find a time to meet together in person, or kind of do like a Zoom call, kind of check in. And some things that we thought would be good to kind of start during this time is first just learning everybody's names, sharing your contact information in case you need to get in contact with somebody about subbing, or if you can't find materials for the day, something like that. During this time, I think it would also be prudent to talk about subbing and what kind of your process is for that. We will be talking about kind of the guidelines of what we would expect for subbing, but as long as you guys can kind of get together and have an idea or know what days people are kind of free and could potentially jump in if they needed to. Next, just looking at monitoring student attendance, we noticed that a lot of students like to just come on the soccer days and not the writing days. And so to be able to kind of show our students that, you know, soccer isn't completely separate from writing. They're not two different programs. We want the students to see that everybody is kind of working together and they do kind of bleed into one another a little bit. So just kind of checking in with your students. If you have a writing coach that is saying to the soccer coach or the liaison, you know, I'm only having 5 students show up every day. How many students do you have? And they say they have 15. That might be a time in which, if you're working within the schools, pulling the students aside and saying, you know, checking in like, hey, is there a reason why we are chronically absent? Is because you're not interested in this part of the program? Is it because there's something outside, like an outside factor, like parents can't pick them up at the end of the day during those times? Just kind of getting an idea from the student why they aren't showing up on those days. And just keeping in mind that many students have different barriers in life that we should be, you know, aware of and understanding of, and to work with those students as well as their parents or their caregivers to kind of find an appropriate solution for them. Discussing your process for recruiting if numbers look low. So if throughout the season you're noticing more students dropping off, this is more so the liaisons. You know, you can do another push to recruit students. If you need help from us, we can create flyers, we can come in, do some stuff during lunchtime to get students to see if they'd be interested in joining our program. But really making sure you're kind of like watching and seeing how many students are coming each day will be helpful. Discussing a process for communicating with parents. I know that, you know, we don't always need to be calling caregivers, but I think sometimes if there's a really great positive that you notice, like little Johnny, he's been struggling for the past few weeks, but today he did awesome. He was helping out his teammates. He was cleaning up after himself. Like, caregivers love to hear that, but also if you have problems with your student, if there's something that you notice that might include, parent or caregiver involvement, definitely talking about the ways in which you would communicate with those families. Next, just discussing your process of approaching program problems or behavioral issues, kind of get on the same page of, what are those practices that you'll be using? Positive reinforcement is key with our program. So just making sure everybody has kind of a clear understanding of that. And then also just your process for planning for upcoming special events. So really the only one that we have for the spring season is Jamboree. So just make sure that everybody is on the same page about who is going and, what their job duties entail. So again, like Brittany mentioned, we'll be sending out the Coach Chronicle every week, usually on a Monday or Tuesday. We'll also be providing a Google form, like she mentioned, in case you guys have any issues. You can refer to our last page of this document, which we'll talk about later, with contact emails and phone numbers. Yeah, so that's pretty much most of the communication, but really initially setting up those in that first day or two, trying to get everybody together so everyone's on the same page for the season. All right, next we will be talking about subbing, which is 10:11. Okay. So we've looked at subbing and we noticed that during the fall season, we were kind of Matthew, Brittany, and a lot of our program staff and myself a little bit were being pulled from what we needed to do for that day and kind of being able to go around and check in on programs and talk with you guys, see how things are going, to go and sub for people who had issues where they weren't able to attend for that programming day. So we kind of came up with a game plan, and our emphasis on this is more so on the liaisons and just making sure that there is kind of a step-by-step process set in place for subbing. So the first thing that everybody needs to do, if you realize you're a coach, you can't fulfill your duty for the day, you must reach out to your liaison and let them know that you are in need of a sub. So that is the first step that you will do. After that, the liaison is kind of that first person who will need to be available to sub for that coach. If for any reason, you have outside commitments, something else to do, we understand that, but you should be the first person that is going into sub for those teams. I know that sometimes some of our liaisons coach other teams, so that's not necessarily possible. But the people who are only liaisons, you should be the first person to sub for that coach. If your liaison can't coach, then the liaison will assist the coach in finding a sub using your school sub list. So if you know that there is another teacher in the school that's able to come in and step in for that day, that's great. Or if another coach is able to kind of step in for you for that day. Once that sub is found, the coach is required to send a message to the SCORES program email, which is listed here, and League Apps to let us SCORES staff know who will be subbing for what days. So this is really important in terms of pay. If you guys don't let us know when people are switching days or are filling in or subbing, that can cause an issue of making sure that that person's pay is updated and they're getting paid for the time that they actually spent working in that program. So when that happens, please immediately reach out to us. Just let us know, hey, Alexis is gonna cover for me today, but I'll be back on, the next day. So if the liaisons or subs are not able to fill in, the coach will need to reach out again. Yeah, like we said, to the program email and on League Apps to let staff know. Coaches are allowed to flip days, so you can swap soccer and writing days if you need to, and it works. That's another option. So if your team usually does soccer on Mondays and writing on Tuesdays, you can do soccer on a Tuesday and then writing on a Monday. But please make sure that there are always 2 days of soccer and 2 days of writing. And this is kind of it's not an every week thing, so we shouldn't be flipping back and forth. But if there is 1 week, 2 weeks out of the, 11 weeks that we're there, that's totally fine. The next option, so if you get down to it, you can't find another coach, you can't flip days, the liaison can't sub, a coach who is a CMSD staff member, and this is only for CMSD staff members, may take on 2 teams and they will be paid an additional $15 for that session. So this is only to be done in emergency situations when you have tried the liaison, you have tried other coaches, you've tried flipping days, you've tried reaching out to us to see if we have extra subs. This is kind of the last ditch effort. And again, this is only available to CMSD teachers. So if you're an outside coach, you are not able to do this. Another thing too, so if it happens where you can't find somebody, liaisons and coaches cannot cancel programming without first consulting the SCORE staff. So make sure that you, again, are in communication with us, letting us know what's going on, and then we can help kind of figure out what we can do to, not come to the point of canceling programming. So if there, again, are any programming changes, you should always be communicating that with the SCORE staff, the liaison, and if applicable, that after-school provider, if they need that sort of information. Does anybody have questions on subbing? Okay. All right, next we will be talking about cancellations and delays. So we realized throughout the fall season that we didn't necessarily have like a cancellation or a game day like delay outlined. So we decided that it would be good. We know that Cleveland weather can be crazy. In April, one day it could be, -2 degrees, and then the next day it's 85. So we just want to kind of come up with some standards that we're going to follow. And this will also be sent out to students' parents and caregivers as well. So they have an idea in case there will be a game day that is canceled, they can kind of prepare for that. So if a game day is canceled, SCORE staff will contact all the parents and the coaches via Lee apps no later than like 10 a.m. the day of. Most of it is related to the weather and if there are playable conditions. So that will be determined by 10 a.m. and no later than that. Coaches and liaisons are expected to follow up with their teams about the cancellation in addition to our notifications. So if you're working within the schools, if you're able to catch the students during the school day and update them, if you can talk with your secretary and see if she or he can make a announcement over the PA system, that's always a good idea too. Coaches and liaisons may not decide if a game is canceled. So again, program staff are the ones that will be deciding that and then letting you all know if we do intend to cancel a game day. So some reasons why we would cancel, there's really only 2, is whether that's severe. So whether that feels, has a feel like temperature below 40 degrees. So it's not the actual temperature, but factoring in wind chill, if it's raining, if it's snowing, that sort of thing. So if you check on your like weather apps, they should say like the normal temperature and then a feel like temperature. So if that's below 40 degrees, we will probably cancel for that day, or excessive rainfall causing flooding. So as we know, some of us who have been to Thurgood Marshall, the fields are not always completely flat. So we want to make sure that there's not giant puddles that the students are going to have to be running around in, or the ground is too slippery to play. So if we decide to cancel a game day, students will instead have soccer practice at their home school during their normal practice time. So coaches are expected to run a lesson for that day. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that if we cancel a game day, that does not mean that we don't have practice. If a game is canceled, you will have practice at your school. Game day delays, the really only time that this would ever happen is if if we see or hear thunder within the vicinity. That would be a 30-minute game delay. After so long of a time, if the thunder and lightning is not passing, we will most likely cancel the game for that day. And then practice. The only time that practice would really be canceled is if the after-school lead agency decides that they're canceling or they have an event, something like that. Or if there's a school closing due to inclement weather, the school will be closed for the day. We won't have after-school programming. Again, the only people who can decide if a practice is canceled is the program staff. The coaches and liaisons may not cancel practice on their own. So please make sure that you are, in communication with us if you're confused about that. And again, we will contact caregivers via league apps. Coaches and liaisons should also follow up with caregivers as well as alert students during the school day in case, program staff does decide that we are canceling a practice day. All right, next we will be talking about child safety and mandated reporting. So as everybody knows, if anytime that you work with students, especially in the after school space, we are all considered mandated reporters. So that means that if you suspect or know of a child that is dealing with abuse, you must report that day. And we have a mandated reporting form, which I'll show. It's on the back of our injury and accident reporting form that needs to be immediately filled out. You'll have to follow, the instructions that we have in here, fill out that paper form. If preferably, we would prefer that you could scan it into us and send it in that same day. And then we will take the following steps to kind of, go and see what more needs to be done. I do want to ask real quick if anybody has any issues with their principals requiring certain or different standards in regards to mandated reporting. Okay, just because we had one teacher tell us that, there are certain things that she has to go through her principal to discuss doing this mandated reporting form. So we just want to make sure that everybody, if you see or hear or suspect any child abuse, you must report it. And you must do it that day. Okay. Any questions on that? It's kind of wheel up. Okay. All right. And the last one is just our contact information. So like Brittany said, ideally, when you are messaging us for little things, kind of like throughout the day or any questions, concerns, that sort of thing, using league apps or using the program email or our staff phone number, like our office phone number, please use those first. If it is an emergency situation, you may use our personal cell phone numbers. That's in case a child is in danger, if there's a major accident, those sorts of things. We would ask you to use our phone numbers. So that's all I have for the coach manual. Okay. All right, Brittany, I don't know if you wanted.
Yeah,
Try
we're
to pull
gonna
again.
try one more time and we'll see how it works. All right, so let me see if I can get this one to launch. And Matthew, I'm gonna need you to be my eyes and ears again. Let me know when everyone sees it and it's been completed because it doesn't show me anything.
It's up.
It's up. Okay. Let me know when you think majority have completed it and I can end it.
Got 7 out of 7.
Looks good.
Right. Yep.
Yep. All right. I'm gonna end poll. So it's a question about, game cancellations.
7 out of 7 answered yes. The regular practice should take place right after school.
Perfect. Okay. Now I hit end and it should be off. Is it gone? Are we
There you
good? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
All clear.
I wish I could see on my end. I don't know how to figure out why it's being weird, but All right. Want me to take this, Colby?
Sure. Do you want me to pull up the spring calendar?
I think we don't need to necessarily
Okay.
pull that one up. It's pretty much the same. So just in your section of the second year folder, you're going to have your spring calendar. As it was in the fall, it is going to show you all the important days of the program. It'll have the list of game days and when they will start, which will be in April 6th and go every week from there. The Jamboree is on May 20th, as Chloe said, and the mid-season meeting is April 12th. As a reminder, if there is no school for any reason, whether sick days, whatever, there is no scores. Okay, go ahead, Chloe. And then the third section will have curriculum. We'll break out into curriculum groups once we finish this.
Okay, so that accident and injury form, like we talked about earlier, if there's any accident or injury, even as small as a paper cut, if you have to give a kid a Band-Aid, please fill out that form that's in your folders. This must be completed the same day as that accident or injury, and then please have it scanned and emailed into the program email. If you're not able to scan it in, you can take a picture of it. We don't prefer that because sometimes it's hard to read. So please try first to scan it in and email it to us. But if not, we understand that you might need to send a picture of it.
Yeah, so Chloe, let me jump in on that real quick. We do appreciate and the scanning and the emailing in so we can see it right away, but we will actually need the official document. So soon after, a program staff member will come out to get the original to put on file. And just a reminder with this, that all the youth that are registered for the program, this is another reason why it's so important that no unregistered youth are staying for after school programming, because every registered youth in the program is then carried under our insurance. And so that's secondary insurance. So what this means is if an accident does happen or something does happen, and it might seem minor at the time, it could become something major later. And then if the parents take them to the emergency room or to a doctor later, our insurance can kick in if there's a lapse in coverage or a lapse in, if there is no insurance. I know that that's not quite as common anymore under the new insurance laws, but just even a lapse in coverage, our insurance may be able to help that family out. So the first thing though, when we do go to make an insurance claim, is to have that accident and incident form. So I haven't had to do one in many years, but we have done it in the past and it works. So please make sure those get filled out. Sorry.
No, all good. And then the back of that accident and injury form is that mandated reporter form, like I talked about earlier.
And I'll just add quick about that mandated reporter form is when you do fill it out, there's a very important line that asks for the intake number. That if you for some reason do have to make that call, please make sure you get that number. That form also has all the information that someone might ask you when you make that call. We ask for that intake number because that way we can follow up with the case. Without that number, we cannot do anything. So we won't be able to follow up. So if you ever do have to make that, please make sure you fill out that entire form. Same thing as the injury form, please scan that day. And then we would like the physical hard copy as well as soon as we can possibly get it. Okay, so LEGAPS, everyone here has worked with us in the fall, so everyone here is in the system. I actually have put everyone on their teams as of yesterday. So please, while we are kind of finishing up here, please try to log in tonight and check in for this training. There should be a training. All 4 training dates are listed there. Just to, obviously pick tonight and check in for that training. This is a good test to make sure that your app is working, that you have no technology issues that we can fix now before program starts. And also it's great because it just gets us on the same system, and that's how we will do attendance for training as well. As always with LEGAPS, please make sure you're checking in students during your practice. The easiest way to do it and to be found is to doing where they're eating snack, is to kind of walk around, talk to the kids the other day as you're taking attendance while they're there. We do understand that sometimes the Wi-Fi in your school might not be the greatest. Maybe you don't have the ability to use the data on your phone. We completely understand that. So please just make sure you take that attendance on paper then. And are you only seeing February 21st, Misty? Is that what you're saying? Are you seeing?
First program says Coach Spring training in person Tuesday, February 21st. That's the first one.
That's the
The
first one.
second
Okay.
one says Coach Spring training virtual Thursday, February 23rd.
Okay.
So
So-
you have to click on the calendar.
Yeah.
I forgot. I accidentally RSVP to the wrong one, but if you
Okay.
click on the little calendar icon on the bottom, you should be able to pull it back up.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes if you're on the home screen, it skips it by the calendar. It should bring you to the today. If you're still not
Yes.
seeing, let me
I
know.
got it. I see
You got
it.
it? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so the calendar is, that little calendar at the bottom is going to be your kind of key when you're doing check-in. I don't understand why it doesn't show you on the home screen, the day you're in that's currently happening. That's kind of their thing that we're trying to work out with them, but hitting that calendar will then show you that practice day, and that's where you can then check in yourself and check in the students. If you're not able to check in during your practice, please make sure to write down the students that were there and then go home and do it either that night or the first thing the next morning. Chloe is going to be managing payroll, and she's going to be working with our staff member, Ramona. They will send out reminder emails every, the week to kind of remind those who might have, missed a day or not. But we do ask that you try to keep up as best as you possibly can, because as Allison said at the beginning, we are not able to do checks in batches. We have to do checks all at once. So if we are waiting on a handful of coaches to fully put in their attendance, that is going to delay everybody's checks. So please make sure you are doing that as quickly and as easily as possible, or please letting us know if you have any issues checking in any students or your staff, and please make sure it is the students too. We do need to make sure we're keeping track of attendance. It's very important for our own grant reports. Are the lead agencies that work within your school for after school program are always asking us for that information. So we want to make sure we're providing the most updated information we can. Also, as we mentioned earlier, there is that chat feature. So when you go onto your app and you actually go into the person in the right-hand corner, you can then see a list of the teams that you have. By clicking on a team, it will then give you the list of people on that team. And then there's a tab at the very top that says staff. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it very well on my phone, but there's a staff button that will then show you staff. If you want to talk to scores, we're under there as scores staff. Score staff is on every single team, so you should be able to message us that way. You also can message fellow coaches this way. So if you aren't comfortable giving out your personal number to somebody, please use League Apps as a way to connect with them. You can also message families this way. So if you know a student who is struggling to come every day, or you're struggling to wonder if you want to have a meeting with a parent or a guardian or a caregiver, you can message them if you just want to remind everyone that the games are coming up, or a child who's been not showing up for games. That's a good way to remind them. We ask that when you're using it as a chat feature, you're respecting timeframes. So please do not be messaging people at midnight and such, just because you might be up, they might not. We don't want to upset parents. Our staff will answer questions up till about 7 o'clock at night. After that, we are going to be on our own personal time. So unless it is a dire emergency, we will answer you the next time, we go to work, which is going to be 9 in the morning the next day. So please, like I said, as we're kind of, working through the rest of our PowerPoint before we head into the curriculum, please try to check in. If you have any issues checking in, nothing showing up, it's not checking in, whatever, please let me know before you leave tonight, so we can try to at least get an idea. If you do have any issues throughout the year, okay, Miss Allen, we'll talk and we'll see why you can't check in. I think I added you, but make sure we did get you added. But if you have any problems throughout the season, please make sure you let me know. And if you can send me screenshots of what you're seeing when you do, and you send it to our program email, that will make it very much easier for me to solve the problem. Either I can look at it and know what the problem is, or I can send it to their tech people. So when their tech people ask me questions, they always ask me for screenshots. It is just so much easier for them instead of me trying to describe things, because obviously I might describe it different than what they usually describe it as. By having a picture in front of them, they're able to say, okay, you need to click on this button or do this thing in order to fix whatever the problem might be. So please let me know if you're having the issues. Ms. T, did not, when you click, so those who can't check in, it's not registering it.
You can't say, oh,
No, yeah, it's
Can't
all
see,
white.
it's too bright.
Yeah.
So yes, sure, I can hit the calendar, but it still says no response, and I done tapped on everything on this phone.
Hmm.
My name comes up, but
Okay.
it's not allowing me to log in.
To actually check yourself in.
Nope, can't do
So
it.
if you go to RSVPs, you can't click.
Because of the
your name
time.
next to it.
Nope,
Okay.
I'm on
All right. So,
RSVP. It's not doing it.
all right, let me play with it tomorrow. Let me see what's going on. Because it should
Okay.
be allowing, and I'll work on that tonight. I have everyone written down, so don't worry. I do have everybody written in. Okay.
Okay.
So it
I
seems to
can't
be a
even-
app-wide issue, which is good, which means it's a problem I can solve app-wide versus individual, because sometimes it's a phone
Okay.
issue. I have everybody written down, so don't worry. I will make sure everyone is signed in for this training tonight. And I will let everyone know tomorrow once I figure out why it's not registering that. All right, go ahead.
So I tried to re-register, like it's asking me to register again.
Okay,
and
yeah,
then
it
when
shouldn't
I
be asking you
did-
to register again. Okay. So let
But
me.
then
play
when I
with those.
tried to do it, it had Ms. Norris as the coach for core, which I'm the coach for.
Yeah, and now I have put every person who works in its school will be on every team. That way you can sub. So you might see a coach who technically isn't like the full-time core coach will be on your team just so that they can sub, because it just makes it easier on our end than having to remember to put you on that team. So like we knew at one point we thought Ms. Norris could be liaison. I know she's talked to you about you working with us liaison this season.
Yeah.
So that's why she's on it as liaisons. We put them on all those team as well so they can see
So it
everything.
says she's the coach.
It says she's the only coach.
Yes.
Okay. Let me play with it and see, because I fixed
Okay.
one problem today. Maybe I created another one in the process. So
Okay.
let me play with it, and I will find out what is going on, and I'll send an update to everyone tomorrow,
Mhm.
via video myself or like a how-to, and we will fix this before program starts. I promise.
Yeah, because it says she's the coach for core and juniors.
Okay. All right. Let me look and see why it's doing that, and then I'll get back
Okay.
to everyone.
All right.
Go ahead, Chloe. All right, you can skip this one because we kind of went through it, and yeah.
Okay, so next, in your, folder, you'll have a compliance checklist. So again, just a reminder, all trainings must be completed before you start coaching. And again, I just listed below, like I've already talked about the number of years and how frequently you need to update those things. So again, those are listed in your coach manual. So just keeping kind of a mental note of like, oh, I did that last year, or oh, I did that 3 years ago. So probably need a new one. Okay, so also in the front pocket is your payment memo. So coaches will be paid in 3 installments and liaisons will be paid in 2. If liaisons do sub anytime during that kind of those middle dates, they will be paid in 3 installments. But if you're a liaison and you don't sub, then you will only be paid in 2 payments. So processing checks, just so you guys know, it takes approximately 5 business days before they are sent out in the mail. So we've listed below kind of those dates as to when is the last time you can enter your attendance in. So you must have your LeGATs up to date in order to make sure that your paycheck is correct each time. So your first check, the last day to enter in your attendance will be March 31st. Your second check, the last day to enter attendance is April 28th. The third check, when the last day to enter attendance is May 20th. As a reminder, you guys are contracted workers, so no taxes are taken out for your paychecks. So just remember that as tax season is coming up, that taxes are not being taken out, and just to be prepared for that. If you have any name changes or an address change, like I mentioned before, please let Matthew, Brittany, or I know, and we will have you fill out another W-9 form. Those are important because those give us your addresses, and so that we're able to send them, out to you. One other big thing is that if you lose or misplace a check, we have to reissue the check, and that costs us about $40. So if that happens, $40 will be taken out of your pay. So I know that sometimes things happen. Your dog chews up your, mail, you accidentally shred something, things happen. But just so everybody knows, if that happens, there will be a $40 charge taken out. So just be on the lookout, kind of know what and when your check should be coming to you. I will share real quick. Sorry. Let me go back. Payment memo. So your first check will actually be handed out at the mid-season meeting, which will be on April 12th. And the reason why we're doing this is because last season we recognized that there were a few times that people's addresses were entered incorrectly onto their checks. And so they either bounced back or they went to the wrong address. So to make sure that everybody, all of their checks have the correct address on it, we are going to be going around handing them out to you. We'll have a checklist and then just let us know, like, yes, this is the correct address. There are no changes that need to be made. Your second check will be mailed out the week of May 8th, and then the third check will be mailed out the week of May 31st. We can skip. Do you want to skip this one?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
we're showing everyone's engaged and we had conversations. So we're good. Yeah.
All right, Matthew.
All right. Just real quick, we can make this fast. Jamboree is our big event for the spring. For those of you who have not experienced it, consider Jamboree like a poetry slam, but only on the soccer side. But it is an event where everyone is in attendance. So writing coaches, soccer coaches, junior teams, core teams, everyone's coming to this event. It will be held on May 20th at Brookside Reservation. For anyone who has been with us in the past, Brookside Reservation is where we've held Jamboree for probably the last 8 years. Again, I just mentioned all scores coaches are required to attend. Flyers with all the information will be distributed to liaisons as early as mid-April, and then follow up with more information closer to the event. Because we need so many people to put on the event, we have book giveaways, we have registration areas, we have soccer giveaways, we have food distribution, cooking, all that sort of stuff. We do need everyone. So if you are a writing coach or a liaison, we're going to be asking you to be there. If you know in advance that you cannot attend because of a wedding, a graduation, or some other major event that just will not allow you to be there, please let us know as early as possible. And again, we'll talk a lot more about this at the mid-season meeting.
Do you know what time it is? I have Saturday school. I could see about switching, but it's over at 11.
Yeah, so technically speaking, the Jamboree is an all-day event, but we do break it up into halves. So school will only be there for either the morning or the afternoon. So I can talk with you after this, and we can try to see if we can schedule your school at a time that would allow you to be there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Does anyone currently have any comments, questions, concerns? No.
Okay.
Okay.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to break out into breakout rooms that are based on either soccer, writing, or liaisons. So if you are everything, Miss Wright and Miss T, we will have you first stay with Clovey for liaison because it is the shortest and it's probably the newest thing you both have done. And then we'll move you to soccer and writing and kind of touch base on those. Everyone else, we will move you to your breakout rooms. So give me a second while I create those rooms.
Also, Leisha, I just wanted to ask, I don't know, did you have any questions after we go through our trainings that you wanted to ask our coaches?
Not really. I think I
Okay.
just kind of want to get a feel of like what the training looked like and I guess like current strategies and like communication things that you're doing with the coaches.
Okay.
If possible, I would prefer to be in the writing group just because
Yeah.
I think my partner Dominic was with the soccer people like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So if that
Okay,
would work.
so we'll add you into there. And then if you want to join in either of the other two, if you want to join in on the liaison one, afterwards, feel free.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think I have them set. So writing and soccer will be moved to rooms, liaisons, and Emily as a sub, you will stay here with Chloe. Once we're finished, we'll come back. And like I said, if you are also need to talk to a soccer or writing coach, you can stay and do that. So let's open them up and see how this goes.
Also, Matthew, if you can, see if you can record once you get in.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this short and sweet for you guys. I really don't have too many updates. I'm just gonna share my screen real quick though. See if I can get out of here. Share screen. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay. So really, just kind of the main points that I want to hit on, I won't go over too much because I've already discussed it, is communication, those subbing plans, if you guys have questions, student enrollment and attendance, caregiver packets we're going to be giving out, and flyers. And then for subs, I just have a couple of like quick questions I'd like to write down from you guys. So communication, again, we really want to emphasize that you guys are the leaders and kind of managing and making sure that all of the coaches understand what is expected of them, checking in on them, you know, maybe each week if you want to send out a text, see if anybody needs any help. Even just if you're in the school and you want to walk around and see if anybody needs assistance is always a great idea. Again, we just kind of want to make sure that everybody feels included and that we're all a part of this process together because we are working with the same students. I know that sometimes it can feel a little disjointed, like, oh, I have my kids and we are just doing writing, and then these kids just do soccer, and there's not kind of really that flow in between. So just making sure that you're making an effort to include all of those coaches, especially if you have people that are from outside of the school space and you don't know them that well. Does anybody have any questions about communication? Okay. Again, subbing plans. So the big thing here is that you guys are going to be like that first person to kind of step in and sub for that coach. That is what we expect of you guys, to kind of help out on those occasions that, you know, a coach is unable to do something or an emergency pops up. Again, we know that a lot of our coaches also, or a lot of our liaisons are also coaches. So just being mindful of the fact that, you know, in case you do both of those things and you know that you can never really sub, just having some backup plan of somebody to kind of pick up that slack and help out for that day. All right, student enrollment and attendance. So just kind of monitoring, like as you see, you know, the number of students that are coming in, making sure that those registration forms are going out. If you notice that you don't have a full roster, you know, in the first 1 or 2 weeks, kind of doing another push or reaching out to myself, Matthew or Brittany, and we can come out to the schools during lunchtime and help recruit anything up, like to help get, you know, numbers up, that sort of thing. Also student attendance. So again, like I mentioned, if you notice, or if your coach comes up to you and tells you, hey, like, I know that this kid is never coming to writing days, but I know that they're going to soccer, pulling those kids in and sitting them down and re-explaining what is expected of them. They committed to this program. they know what the expectation is to attend every day. Just kind of reiterating that might kind of help boost, you know, those coaches and supporting them and making sure that those students are attending when they need to. All right, so we have created caregiver packets that we are going to be sending out to you guys. If you can help make sure that these are given out to the coaches and then sent home with the students, it kind of is just a good overview for the parents to know what to expect on game days, what, you know, some of the rules are. What else is in there? Just like game day attire, our cancellation policy, that sorts of thing. If anybody knows, we are going to be creating a Spanish version of the packet, and we also are intending to create an Arabic version. We know that at least at one of our schools, there is a larger population of Muslim students, so we want to make sure that all of those families are able to, you know, read and understand our program and get the proper information that they need. So if you know that there are a number of students that speak a different language or their family members don't speak any English, please let us know and we can get the proper materials for them so that they are updated and aware of what's going on. Flyers, this is kind of the last thing. So really the other expectation for liaisons is making sure that any flyers for special events, any major updates, that you guys are distributing those to your coaches and to your students. So we will make sure that those get sent out to you. And then also game day schedules. So we will have those a little bit closer to our first game day, which will be April 6th. Matthew is still kind of tweaking things around. We added another school this year or for this season. So he's readjusting those. So just making sure that all of the students and their caregivers have that updated schedule. Okay, any questions from liaisons? Any at all? Okay. So if you are a liaison, so that's Miss T, Miss Wright, Miss Allen. So Miss T, I know that you are doing writing, correct? Okay, so if you can join, let me see if I can either move you. I don't know if you can move yourself into the writing breakout room. Let's see. You're muted.
I can't move myself because I don't know which block they're in.
Which room? Okay,
Yeah.
let me see. Rooms. Oh yeah, because they didn't rename themselves.
Well, I do have a quick question for you on the
Yeah.
subbing tips right here.
Mhm.
So, okay, so my soccer generally, I'm gonna say 4:30 because I'm always waiting for parents, right?
Mhm.
And then sometimes I have to take people home. So what if I wanted to do the 5 to 6:30? Would I get paid extra money?
For the middle school teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually higher pay as well. So sessions, they will actually be like Matthew said, 90 minutes, but you will be paid $50 per session, and then game days are $75. So, but that is also only 2 days a week. Those will be Tuesdays and Thursdays for the most part, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, if you're interested, Ms. T, I'll write that down and we can send you over that information so you can look it over and kind of decide.
Yeah, I'll have to make some changes with the daycare because I will have to leave and go grab my baby, but then come back. But it seems interesting because it's only for 90 minutes. So
Yeah, and
yeah, send it
pretty
over.
decent
I'll
pay,
check it
so.
out. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I even was like, hey, can I be a coach? Like, I could use a little extra cash.
Right. That's what I'm thinking about.
Okay, so I will send that over to you. Is anybody else interested in middle school? Oops. No, okay. All right, so Miss T, I'm gonna move you over into writing. Miss Wright, you are also writing and soccer or writing?
Marshall.
I'm so
Um,
sorry. I accidentally hit airplane mode.
Oh,
Ms. Wright asked you a question.
Sorry, go ahead.
it was, what's the two East Side Rec Centers?
Those ones are Thurgood Marshall and then ooh, I'd have to look. Let me see. Thurgood Marshall and Earl B. Turner, I believe. And then
Okay.
Dunning Park and Michael Zone are more like west side, kind of central.
Okay, and you said you need subs, right?
Well, if you wanted to be a sub, that's also an option. If you like couldn't do it every day, but like you might be available during that time. That's also an option that we have.
Oh, okay, but you need coaches, right?
Yeah, we need coaches, but also like if you couldn't fully commit, but like maybe a couple of days here and there, we also have that option.
I
just
was,
need to know, go ahead, I'm sorry.
oh, I was saying I was interested in it.
You're in, okay,
Me too, Chloe.
okay. Miss Wright, are you also interested?
Yeah,
And Emily, are you at all interested? You're muted.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I would maybe give it a try, but
Okay.
I don't, I'd rather do the after school writing coach stuff.
Yeah. For sure. But I'll just
And
send you guys-
I'm
Go
not
ahead.
available on Wednesdays unless I have advance notice and I can work it out because I work a long day at my other job on a Wednesday.
Okay. Okay, I will just send you guys this information if you want to look it
Okay.
over. Just email me if you're interested. If you're not, no worries.
Okay.
What were 2 days, Kobe?
They're most likely going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thursdays for sure, because those are going to be game days. Those will be after the core games. But during, their middle school normal programming time, which would be 5 to 6:30.
and the games will be at the same day as the core games, right?
Yes. So they will also be at those rec centers, Thurgood Marshall, Gunning, Zone.
So I'll
Um,
be there already, so. that'll
right.
work on-
Yeah,
Okay.
so and that's also a nice thing too. You can just literally be right there and then just go join your second team and then get them
Mhm.
started.
All right, cool.
Okay.
And one more question. So,
Mhm.
they're not doing writing. They're just running around on the soccer field, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Practice.
They're gonna have maybe 1 or 2 days where they do a service learning, like just 90 minutes. We're gonna give them like 5 different options that they could choose from. It'll be like filling like trail mix bags so that they can donate those to, homeless shelters or collecting canned goods, that sort of thing. But just
Okay.
very small projects, but everything else is just purely soccer.
Yeah, because I want you to be careful with that because the one thing in my middle school, that's how my kids ran off because they weren't into any of the academics. They
Right.
shied away,
Yeah.
right? So, okay.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
So, yeah, we'll have like a fun, like little service project. It'll only be a day or two. And they'll get to like make posters or something creative. So that's really the only requirement. And then the rest will be soccer. Okay. All right. So Miss T, I'm going to send you over into the writing room. Right. Miss Wright, you do writing and soccer. Okay. Which would you prefer to go to? Right now?
I'll go to writing.
Writing. Okay. All right. And then Miss Allen, you don't have any teams. You're just liaison, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you're all set. I don't have anything else for you unless you have any other questions for me.
I wanted to make sure that you got my message that I won't be able to do the jamboree.
Okay. All right. I will make a note of that. And speak with Matthew and Brittany.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, thank you. Have a good night.
I do both.
Okay. And would you rather go to, what's it called? Soccer or writing first?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay. Oh, you should have, Michelle, notification that says to move to room 2.
No, something was up a while, but we're still talking.
Sorry, say that again.
Something was up a while ago to join. We were talking.
Oh, okay. Let me see. It's not, it says you're not joined in room 2. I don't know how to reassign you.
Okay, let me try.
Yeah, if you can look down at the bottom of your screen, it should be under, I think, more, and then it should give you an option to click on room 2. Let me know if you're not able. Okay, cool. All right, so just real quick, Emily, I just want to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
About, and I'll be quick. Let's see. All right, so just so I'm clear, which are the kind of the best days and times for you to be able to work?
Most of the time, any day but a Wednesday. I normally sub mostly at Garfield or Artemis, but I am willing to go to the, most of the West Side schools.
Okay.
Of course, advance notice helps because I'm a caretaker for 2 moms, my mom and my mother-in-law.
Wow.
But I've been trying not to schedule, real late appointments if possible.
Sure. Yeah, we'll definitely try and get that information a little bit quicker than just like the day of.
Yeah, but I
so-
know things come up and sometimes you could try me on the day of and I'll do my best.
Okay, great. Is there a time frame that is best after?
No, that doesn't really matter normally.
Okay.
But I will not be able to attend the Jamboree because my son is graduating from John Carroll that weekend.
Ooh, awesome. That's so exciting.
Yeah, so God willing, anyways, he's getting ready to go to Germany. He's going to Germany soon to study abroad for 10 days.
Oh my gosh, that's so
I know,
exciting.
during spring break, so
Wow.
all this is happening much too quickly.
Yeah. Well, what a great experience for him, right?
Yes, yes, yes. But yeah, I've subbed for quite a few years now, and I'm usually, I do my best to do what I can to sub.
Yeah, and we definitely appreciate it, subbing.
No
has-
problem, and I
I've only-
enjoy it.
Yeah, good. I've only been here for a few months.
Right.
So seeing like all of the subbing and things that are needed, you guys are extremely valuable. So we really appreciate
Great.
it.
Good. It works for me and it works for you guys.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I don't have any other questions or updates. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, I think it sounds good. I will try the League app tomorrow and hopefully
Okay.
that'll work out.
Yeah.
Because I know Brittany put me on Artemis, so I'll give it a try tomorrow. Because
Okay.
normally I just tell whoever I'm there, they check me in and,
Yeah, right. And help out. Yeah, because it can be
Right.
confusing.
Well, because I'm not always permanent, so it's kind of hard,
Totally, yeah. And I know that Brittany was having like in the past few days, some issues with the teams not showing up. Last night when we
Sure.
had our in-person one, nobody could even see a team. So we're still kind of working through that and seeing what like the bug issues are and trying to fix that. So we'll have it ready
No
though.
problem.
this season.
Okay, great.
All right. Thanks, Emily.
Okay, so I'm good. I'm done.
Yep, you are good to go. Thanks so much.
Okay, well, good luck to you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.